The last 2 weeks have shown us what I consider to be the highest and lowest extremes of how we humans respond to each other. I'm sure all of you have seen some of the scenes or read some of the stories about the rescue of the Chilean miners over the past 2 months. People from all over the world have been riveted by the news. We heard accounts of how they were supporting each other while trapped a mile below the surface of the earth. We heard the efforts being made to support the families of the trapped miners. Help poured in from all over the world. Here in western Pennsylvania, the same company that made the drill that rescued the Q Creek miners made one to get the miners in Chile out of the mine. When it became likely that they would be rescued, the Oakley Company donated 33 pairs of $450 sunglasses to protect the miners' eyes. NASA donated nutrients to feed the miners that would fit down the initial tiny shaft that was drilled. Stories like those came in from everywhere. It made me so proud to see countries doing what they could do for the welfare of 33 ordinary people who were in a desperate situation that certainly wasn't of their own making. No one was worrying about politics for a change, and individuals and governments set ideologies aside and worked together. The only reward anyone wanted was to see those men come out of the mine alive. The response to the Chilean mine disaster has almost become the ideal for all of us on how people should respond to the needs of others, even if those others happen to be total strangers. I know it's an impossible dream, but wouldn't it be nice if people were always that kind to other people? Wouldn't it be nice if it didn't take a catastrophic disaster before people anticipated and helped meet others' needs? Wouldn't it be nice if we cared as much about what happened to our next-door neighbor as we did about the miners in Chile? I find it sadly ironic that the suicide of Tyler Clementi occurred at the same time the world was focusing on the miners in Chile. If ever there was a human being desperately in need of care, concern, and compassion, it was him, but there was none. Tyler Clementi was on the receiving end of bullying and humiliation by some fellow students at Rutgers University. Did anyone care? No. What did Tyler do to warrant this lack of concern and feelings for his well-being? He was gay. That's all. He was gay. Tyler was a good student and a talented musician who was cared for by a lot of people, but he was persecuted to the point of taking his own life for no reason except his homosexuality. If the outpouring of concern for the Chilean miners is the pinnacle of human response, the treatment given to Tyler Clementi is the absolute bottom. What is so sad is that about Tyler's suicide is that it was due to our society's bias against gay people, and it certainly is not an isolated incident. It happens often. I think it's high time for an attitude adjustment where gay people are concerned. That change in attitude is not going to happen because of anything the gays themselves do. They can lobby, protest, plead, parade, or anything else they can think of, and it probably won't help. Things aren't going to change until enough of us straight people become outraged at the bigotry directed towards gays. I think the key to changing attitudes towards gay people is to understand a little bit about homosexuality. Approximately 4% of adults in the world identify themselves as gay. None of them chose their sexual orientation. It's not a conscious choice that anyone makes. They are born the way they are. Most people would find it abominable if someone discriminated against a retarded person because of a condition he was born with. But many of those same people don't have any problem at all with harassing or discriminating against gay people. Some will even cite the Bible as justification for their behavior. Many gay people have made enormous contributions to the good and welfare of society over the years. Socrates, Francis Bacon, Lord Byron, Cole Porter, Virginia Woolf, T.E. Lawrence, who was also known as Lawrence of Arabia, Charles Lawton, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Peter Tchaikovsky, and Elton John, just to name a few. How fortunate for the world that none of them were harassed and belittled until they felt compelled to commit suicide. But what treasures have been lost with those who did commit suicide because they couldn't live in a world that wouldn't accept them? I have a good friend who moved away from this area to the anonymity of a large city because he found it too difficult to live with the treatment he received here as a homosexual. That should never have to happen. We as Jews know better than anyone else how it feels to be discriminated against for no reason except that we were born Jewish. Because we know how much a human being can be hurt by such behavior, perhaps we should be the first to step up and say, enough, stop. Can any of us truly believe that treatment like Tyler Clementi received would be condoned by our God? I don't think so. Every human being is entitled to live a life of dignity and respect. No one should be judged by the choices they make in their private, personal lives if those choices aren't hurting anyone else. The end of these atrocities has to begin somewhere, and I am asking that it begins with us. It's time.